Welcome to this Baja 4 collaborative worship service. I am the Reverend Lisa McDaniel Hutchings, a community minister affiliated with the Borderlands Unitarian Universalists. Whenever you are joining us, wherever you are worshiping from, you are welcome to bring your whole self here, now. We are the Baja 4, representing Unitarian Universalists across southeastern Arizona. As Unitarian Universalists, we love beyond belief and find inspiration in a wide array of spiritual, religious, and secular sources. We come together as the Baja 4 because we know we are stronger together. We represent Borderlands Unitarian Universalists in Amado, Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church in Sierra Vista, Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Northwest Tucson, and the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson on the east side. Unitarian Universalists take inspiration from the landscape around us. We find in our desert stories of resilience and change, beauty and interconnection, death and life. We acknowledge that this land was stolen from the Chiricahua Apache, Pascua Yaqui, Otham, and Opata people, who are the indigenous ancestors of this land and our neighbors today. Please take a breath with me to express gratitude for all the indigenous people who have stewarded this land for thousands of years and continue to do so today. Our service today centers on fire, an ancient symbol of transformation. And we begin with words by the Reverend Elizabeth Harding, a white affiliated community minister at the Second Unitarian Church of Chicago, who also serves as a bereavement counselor. She says, "People have always known that fire was special. Long, long ago, before people made matches or candles or even made houses, people knew that fire was special. There was the great fire in the sky, the sun, which made the earth warm and made night into day. And there were the smaller fires that people made, fires that cooked their food and kept them warm and brought them light. People honored the fires because fire was special. Fire was more than human. Fire has power. It can create and it can destroy. It can bring light and it can burn. It can create and it can destroy. Fire can be wonderful and fire can be terrible. We have to be careful with fire. And so people thought that fire was something sacred and holy. Some people even worshiped fire and said that fire was a deity, like a goddess or a god. Other people said fire wasn't actually the deity, but just meant that the deity was there. No matter what they believed, people all over the world gave fire a special place in their religions. They had fires in their homes, of course, to cook food and keep warm, and they also had sacred fires in their temples. They set lamps, sacred lamps, on their altars. They lit sacred bonfires outside on the hilltops and in the groves. They placed sacred torches near the graves of those who died. We still do this today. In Washington, D.C., near the tomb of the unknown soldier, burns an eternal flame that never goes out. In churches at Christmas time, many Christians light 4 candles on an Advent wreath. During the 8 days of Hanukkah, Jews light the 8 candles of the menorah. At Diwali, Hindus set small lamps all around the house. And when Unitarian Universalists gather, we light a chalice. This is our sacred fire.
Celebrate chorus of life, resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Hey, our story today is from Ethiopia, a wisdom tale. Long ago, fire, water, truth, and falsehood lived together in one large house. Although all were polite towards each other, they kept their distance. Truth and falsehood sat on opposite sides of the room. Fire constantly leaped out of water's path. One day, they went hunting together. They found a large number of cattle and began driving them home to their village. "Let us share these cattle equally," said Truth as they traveled across the grasslands. "This is the fair way to divide our captives." No one disagreed with Truth except Falsehood. Falsehood wanted more than an equal share, but kept quiet about it for the moment. As the 4 hunters traveled back to the village, Falsehood went secretly to Water and whispered, "You are more powerful than fire. Destroy fire, and then there will be more cattle for each of us." Water flowed over fire, bubbling and steaming until fire was gone. Water meandered along, cheerfully thinking about more cattle for itself. Falsehood, meanwhile, whispered to Truth, "Look, see for yourself. Water has killed fire. Let us leave Water, who has cruelly destroyed our warm-hearted friend. We must take the cattle high in the mountains to graze." As Truth and Falsehood traveled up the mountain, Water tried to follow, but the mountain was too steep, and Water could not flow upwards. Water washed down upon itself, splashing and swirling around rocks as it tumbled down the slope. Look and see, Water is still tumbling down the mountainside to this day. Truth and Falsehood arrived at the mountaintop. Falsehood turned to Truth and said in a loud voice, "I am more powerful than you. You will be my servant. I am your master. All the cattle belong to me." Truth rose up and spoke out, "I will not be your servant." They battled and battled. Finally, they brought the argument to Wind to decide who was master. Wind didn't know. Wind blew all over the world to ask people whether truth or falsehood are more powerful. Some people said, "A single word of falsehood can completely destroy truth." Others insisted, "Like a small candle in the dark, truth can change every situation." Wind finally returned to the mountain and said, "I have seen that falsehood is very powerful, but it can only rule where truth has stopped struggling to be heard." And it has been that way ever since.
We Didn't Start the Fire was Billy Joel's 1989 #1 hit. It's been described as a lyrical stream of consciousness of almost 100 major headlines throughout his then 40 years on the planet. The chorus goes something, "We didn't start the fire, it was always burning since the world's been turning." And on one hand, it's a mosaic of global history, popular culture, industry, sports even, as experienced by a white male pop star. And on the other hand, it's a record of revelation. Revelation as the realization of truth. Rising from the historical facts named in the song, there is the revelation. Change, transformation, it occurs whether we desire it or not. No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it. Certainly, there could be a "We Didn't Start the Fire" song listing all that's transpired this year. It really might be nice to put things in order that way. But we don't need to wait to recognize the transformations unfolding among us and within us from 2020. My ministerial colleagues and friends have entrusted me with brief personal accounts of this year and what has been revealed to them. And I've crafted a mosaic of all our experiences of 6 white, mostly female ministers, and the revelations of how this year has and continues to transform us all. Within the pieces named and all the spaces in between, may you hear something of your ongoing transformation also. At the beginning, I thought the year would be like watching a reality TV show. Instead, it became reality. Deep, painful, lonely, lovely, deadly, miraculous, everything, everything, everything. 2020 clarified for me home and not home. It sensitized me to what is mine and not mine. It brought gratitude, the touch of sun on my skin, the touch of music on my emotions, and waiting, waiting, waiting. Activism matters. We have a voice. I can get much closer in meaningful ways to people. Art restores me. I can still work hard. I love my wife and my marriage. I can heal from losses. It's time. It's time. It's time. Gluten-free recipes were tried and consumed. I found I depend on the kindness of strangers. Pets provide comic relief and a lot of hair around the place, and there are some things you just can't grow in this region. My best spiritual practice is sleeping. Grooming and hygiene are optional when sequestered. Intentional interconnectedness is essential for the health of individuals, communities, and the earth. The moment arrived for racism to be revealed. And this is inspiring incredible hope and real action for change. And yet there is an incredible pushback from the status quo, and it's really ugly and tragic. The pandemic raised consciousness of human frailty and mortality, and I struggle to come to terms with that and find equilibrium. Everyone's level of anxiety is way up, and that prompts the breaking of our covenant. It ensues in acting out and the withdrawal from others. Bitterness feeds on isolation. I am personally more aware than ever of the dysfunctional family patterns in my life, but not necessarily finding healthier ways. I take deep comfort from the land and the sky and the creatures all around us, helping me to carry on and remember love and blessing. 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 We are far more interdependent than our previous individualistic perspective understood, yet the social safety net in the U.S. is weaker than I thought. Our carbon emissions have damaged the Earth's equilibrium, resulting nearby as the fire in the Santa Catalinas. It was nearly impossible to extinguish, and the complete lack of a monsoon season this summer. When I must isolate from others, the only thing that saves me is being out in the beauty of the natural world, the beauty of the world, the beauty of nature. I can reach out and connect with people much more than I thought was possible. I am less lonely now than I was. I have always reached out to colleagues and met with them for support, but feel much more able to do so after working so closely together for so long within the Baja 4. And while I had hoped to organize my house, lose weight, and get one room together at a time, I found it all falls apart before I have the next one tamed. 2020, it's changed the way I get to say goodbye, and it is hard. It is hard. It is hard. I'm not alone. I am definitely not alone. It's not worth going at it alone. Innovation is exciting and exhilarating all at once. Long walks and long drives are healing. We're stronger together. We need each other spiritually, personally, and physically. I'm not a virtual minister. I need you to survive in every sense of that phrase. I need you. I need you. I need you.
In this next motion of our journey towards the fire, we are reflecting on two questions. What will you leave behind in 2020? And what will you carry forward into 2021? There is a lot we wish we could leave behind fully in 2020. A pandemic, for one. Social isolation that's resulted from that, governmental dysfunction, systematic racism, oppressions at all of the margins of society. There is a lot we wish we could fully leave behind in 2020? And we are asking these two questions today. What will you leave behind and what will you carry forward, to acknowledge that we cannot leave all we wish to leave behind in 2020. Much of this will come with us, whether we like it or not. It will be the work ahead, the lingering crises still without a full fix plan, and the unfinished healing from many centuries of colonization, racism, sexism, heteropatriarchy. And so I invite you to consider what you can and will leave behind in 2020. I encourage you to let your answers be personal and realistic and possible. If you have a pen and paper nearby, maybe you'll jot down a few of the things that come to mind as we hear some readings in a second, or maybe you'll type them into your phone. Later on in the service, we will approach the fire together, and you will have the opportunity to metaphorically, or maybe in real life at your home, release what you need to leave behind into the communal fire. I invite you to let your answers to the question of what you are leaving behind unfold as we hear two readings. The first from trans Christian minister Reverend M. Barclay, writing for Infleshed. Maybe there are some things that served you well for an era, but not any longer. Maybe it's time to rethink, reshape, renew. Maybe you're ready to release another untruth handed to you early on, meant to keep you in line, in order, in compliance. What might be replaced with acceptance of your power and potential? For the sake of your own becoming, and also us all, your soul work is essential to the labors of love, collective and eternal. Material, relational, and communal repair are all forms of healing made possible by souls entangled in shared longings and commitments. And let your answers continue to unfold as we hear this call from the late Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Forrest Church, a man whose life was complex for anyone who knew him well, but whose writings we can still appreciate. He wrote, "When cast into the depths to survive, we must first let go of things that will not save us. Then we must reach for the things that can." What is no longer serving you? What is no longer saving you? And having considered this, what will you reach out for in order to save yourself, your community? Which brings us to that second question. What are you carrying forward into 2021? Perhaps you've learned something in 2020 that will continue to liberate you in 2021. Or maybe there is something of this year that just won't let go of you just yet, and you need to carry that forward tenderly with care for yourself and for it. Or possibly this year has helped a part of you move towards a better version of yourself, and you're wanting to nurture that part in the coming year. What learnings, what necessities, what new growth are you carrying forward with you? On this journey towards the fire at this hinge of a year, it is important to distinguish between that which we can reasonably let go of and that which we must responsibly and thoughtfully carry forward. The point of the fire is not to throw in that which you wish you could leave behind, but that which you actually can and will leave behind, and to see what's left for you to carry forward. I trust that you will choose wisely and well. The choice is yours.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, but have not love, my works are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not begin by love within, the prophets soon turn strangely thin.
It is time to come to the fire. It is time to find our own mosaic of light, of fire, of darkness, of challenges. The fire awaits us. We have heard about fire. And at this time of year, right after Christmas and many of the holidays, we might feel a longing for fire. I invite you to meditate with me at the fire. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long. Breathe in deep. Breathe out long, and let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Allow yourself to breathe deep into who you are. Breathing deep into that place where you live, where love dwells, into that pond of love and compassion, where you gather the love given to you, and from where you share love. Delve into that love together. Let it connect us to all those who are also breathing, and to those who have breathed before, some of whose wisdom has been left for us so that we may contemplate it. Let us feel connected through the fire and through our love, through our breath. And it might be time to relinquish some of what has burdened us. We may have felt a sense of hopelessness. And if you have felt hopeless or still do, I invite you. You may borrow hope from others around you. We do not need to do this alone. Indeed, many of us have hope. And the fire can consume our hopelessness. We may have resentments, and resentments lie to us. It's like taking poison and expecting the other person to drop dead. Resentments hurt and harm us. I am letting go of my resentments now. There may be anguish and despair that has accompanied us off and on during 2020, this very tough year. And while there is some pain that is part of the human existence, anguish and despair are temporary, and when they have served their purpose, we can let them go. Indeed. Many of us end up stuck in self-loathing when faced with deep stress. Self-loathing serves no purpose as we work towards a world more just, more loving, more fair. Self-loathing harms, pretending we are not a worthy person. I am letting go of self-loathing. There is worry, and worry is obsessing about fears without relief and serves no purpose. Fear, on the other hand, can be helpful. So I will set it aside so I remember to wear a mask, keep my distance, and be safe. Hate is destructive. Hate does not drive out hate. Only love can do that, as Martin Luther King Jr. said. So I will let go of hating. Anger. I'm not going to let go of my anger. I need my anger. It is energy. It is energy I need, especially after this year, because there is injustice. And indeed, I cannot burn injustice, because if I threw this into the fire, the injustice would still be just as great, only I might not bother with it. I set injustice aside for my to-do list, because we still live in a world of white supremacy, which has affected us and our thinking and speaking and doing, and I need self-awareness so I can change that from the inside out and work on changing the world. There's heteropatriarchy and sexism, which will also exist even after the fire, and indeed I need the fire to keep the awareness alive, to help me search my soul, to be present for change. Homophobia and transphobia, ableism, and so many other types of prejudice are still going to be there. And I invite us to let a fire burn within, a deep desire to let the world change. Let the fire fuel community organizing, more love and compassion, deeper connection so we can work for justice and love the earth responsibly. We came to the fire. Let us be changed by the fire.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, and the promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
We extinguish our chalice with these words by the Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal, White Unitarian Universalist minister in Idaho. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to deal with a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all there yet shall be. Out of the flames of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames, we rise. May we make it so through our living.